Yo, what's good? What's good? What's good? What's good? Hey. I think I'm on TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook. Um, First of all, I want to say good morning to everybody. Thank you for tuning in. I think I'm on YouTube as well. What's going on? What's going on? What's going on? Um, I don't want to just pay attention to who's all coming in. What's up, B Soul Simmons? Um, I just want to talk to each and every one of you. Um, Listen, um, of course, this is the morning after another tragic suicide has occurred, and we talk about um, you know uh, the tragedy of it all, the irony of it all. It's almost everybody says hey man, check on your strong friend. But as brothers, I have a brand that's called Mentality. This is and it speaks to this right here, the mentality of a man. The mentality of a man. So I combine them together and I call it Mentality. That is my passion. That is my brand. But I want to talk to the brothers and sisters. I need you to listen as well. Bro, I need you. I need you. That's one of the things that I want to talk about men needing one another. Men need one another. And men, when I say we need one another, I don't need you going into a situation when a man has a problem trying to go in there and fix it. I just need you to understand me. My wife and I had a conversation, and she was saying how not being able to speak, uh, articulate things to like her like a counterpart will, but we need practical conversation with one another. Men need practical conversation with one another, especially black men. um as I just looked and I saw what Twitch had posted uh, uh 24 hours before his death. He had posted something about us as black men getting shot in the streets. Um, you know, the thing about that is it's disheartening that every time that you see uh, black men getting gunned down for nothing in the streets. Uh, so when I say, bro, I need you, I need your shoulder as well as you need my shoulder. All men need men. You understand what I'm saying? Because we can only speak to one another. Sometimes we speak to one another in silence, but we understand one another. We understand one another. This is why I say we need men, bro. I need you. Um, I, I don't need you to fix my problems, but I need you to bear some of my problems because I know you got them as well. I was telling Angel, I was telling my wife, and some of my brothers, when we talk about articulating, the definition of to be able to articulate something is a person's having the showing the ability to speak fluently and coherently. Um, we can articulate pain, but we cannot articulate how to get help because who have men in their lives. And I pray that each of you would share it, share the broadcast, share whatever, or listen and take some points from what I'm talking about today and apply it to the relationship that you have with men in your life. Be it your father, be it your uncle, be it your cousin, be it your nephew, be it your son, be it your significant other, or be it your husband. Um, we have to understand that vulnerability is key to men. You think that we don't want to be vulnerable. We're looking for a safe place to be vulnerable. So sometimes there's only one time in a man's life that he will be vulnerable. And when he's vulnerable, don't take it for granted. Don't take it for granted, because that may be the time, and is literally a matter of life and death. It's literally a matter of life or death. And if you don't realize the vulnerability is very important to a man, I just need you to assess, if you've ever had a man to be vulnerable to you in your life, I need you to assess how long it took him to be vulnerable to you, to know how important it is to us. And sometimes a man will never, he only gets one time. He may only give you one time to be vulnerable. Um, you know, so when he's vulnerable, don't take it for granted, because sometimes it's literally a matter of life and death. And he'll never be vulnerable again to anybody because of how the previous person handled it. So, vulnerability to us is is trust. And sometimes to women is triumph, So that's one of the things. And you know, because uh women look for us to always be emotionally available. And if we never really deal with emotions, that part of us can't be available. You understand what I'm saying? I listened to Tabitha Brown. I listened to Tabitha Brown. She was talking about how the window of being a child is very small, but the window of being a black boy is even smaller, even smaller, because when we are able not even able we're not even given the liberty to express how we feel as black kids. We got to be It's almost like 10x. We got to be 10x better than our counterparts. We got to be 10 we got to work even harder, you know and this is let me block this person here. Ignorance. It's even harder. And and when people okay, confirm. All right. It's even harder. And when people uh really look at how boys are when they're transitioning and as being kids, there's a pivot in every little boy's life. uh, a, a young lady is first she's a girl, then she begins to be a young lady, then she's able to transition, because you know it's different for boys and girls. But for men, for boys, you know there's that pivot point between the ages of, like, I would say about 10 and 14. you know the praises of your parents will not be as appreciated as much. So, in our minds, either we're going to be a punk. Oh man, you're a punk, you ain't gonna do this, you know or we're going to be a peer. And there's pressure in each situation. So we have to navigate, and we don't say anything about it. The first thing we say, I ain't no punk, I'm going to do it. And when we do it, we make the mistake. And when we make the mistake, sometimes there's consequences. For little black boys, the consequence is that we never had the chance to express ourselves. And when we do it and we get caught doing it, now we're no longer a boy, we're tried as a man. So the window was very small, and the chances to be able to not express ourselves is almost not at all. We can't do it. But you have to understand, you know, for me, I had a great example. I was able to cry. You understand what I'm saying? I was able to cry. This is why I'm more in tune with my emotions than some of my peers. But I made a decision in that pivot to become a peer because I didn't want my peers to look at me as being a punk. So I made choices, and then this thus I went to prison later on in my life because I was portraying something that I really wasn't. It was about portrayal. I portrayed that. But you know, men don't cry. A lot of men don't cry, not because they don't want to, but I don't think that men have the tears produced in them. You know, anytime that there's a desert, it evaporates everything. It evaporates feelings. You begin to come. There's bitterness, and you cannot get water from an empty well. You can't get water from an empty well. So when all those tears have dried up with the weight of the world, the weight of the family, the weight of your inner thoughts, and there's nobody even talking to you, you know, I need you. Some men always heard men don't cry, but I cried a lot. Listen, and sometimes those tears are silent, but men, we need one another. And I'm gonna say this, and it's alarming. Um, 80% of suicide are committed by men. The hike of suicide within the last 5 to 10 years has an 80% increase of black men. 80%, 8 times more than it was. You know, um, and this is what I wanted to talk about. You cannot prime water from an empty well. So when men don't show their emotions, I need you to understand it's not that we don't have them, but sometimes life has dried them up. So it's an empty well. But I need you to listen. And why I say I need you, bro, because of this right here. Only we can understand one another because how we communicate is how we need one another. I don't need you to fix it, bro. I just need you to hear me. I need you to be in the moment with me. I need you to be in the moment with me. I don't need you to fix it, but I just need you to hear me. Uh, and I say that um, and everybody's not going through a heartbreak right now. That's what someone asked. Give, um, you, you know, but I'm gonna go so far as I'm going through. I'm still going through the grieving process of my parents. Really, my father. Um, there's no cookie cutter way to really say how you go through grieving. I reached out Bishop R.C. Blakes, and he told me, he said, "Listen, you never get over it." He said, "You will begin to embrace a new normal." And I'm like, "Wow, never." And he's a man of God. He's a bishop. I'm like, yo, if he can't get over it, and we view, because of how we view people, you would think like, okay, let me reach out to Bishop. Bishop knows, and I've reached out to different people, but they didn't handle it like that because of the wisdom he went through it. And he said, you never get over it, but you embrace a new normal. And I understood what he means now, and I'm understanding what he means now, but I didn't understand then. And understanding that we need one another. Had not, listen, you know, I think Bishop Blake's, there's like probably a million people that probably asks some questions every day, but he specifically spoke to me because he knew that I needed him. I'm not a member of the church. I'm not one of, but to have that, we have to know that we need one another. We need one another. You know, I want to say, when we talk about, let's make let's make let's normalize asking for help. Let's normalize asking for help. And we have to understand that um, I was telling my wife, I said, we can't we can't we don't normalize it because we've never seen it. We've never experienced genuine help. And she said, that's an excuse. That's a cop out, and it is. But I need you to know, bro, that people do it. People get help every day, and even if we can't normalize it, we can try it. Even if it's not our normal, we can embrace it. We can try it. Because when your life is lost, there's no coming back. I was sharing with one of my brothers about, you know, listen, you can't tell who's going through what because we portrayed all these things. We portrayed all these things, like I did. I did 4 years in a penitentiary, and I was. I want to say that when I did those 4 years, anybody who has been in prison or anything like this right here, the first thing, either you did time or time did you, or either you bid or you was just there. I bid, I did. I and I've never met a group of men that were so powerful, and some of the most intelligent men I met in prison, but nobody heard them. And I was able to go in there and be able to speak to them and listen to their pains, you know, because they didn't get a chance to speak to anybody because we didn't, we're busy trying to protect ourselves from each other, but never allowing ourselves to have the liberty to say, man, let's talk. Why do we do it? Because of what we've accepted. Um, we live in an age now that we people go viral. This is the thing that we want. I want to be popular. I want to even entertainers. I want this award. I want the accolades to go with everything. These are the things that we want. Um, to truth be told, David did the same thing. David went viral. David in the Bible. And I'm not going to give you any Bible verse because I need to be practical to you. I can give you the Bible verses later, but we need one another, man. We need one another. And I say that when David went viral, one of the things is, David and Saul, it says, Saul, you kill your 1,000 men. David, you kill your 10,000 men. So everybody is praising David. But God says David is a man after his own heart. And I want to say this to you. No matter what you've gone through, no matter what you're going through, God sees you as important and as an important integral part of what he wants to do in the world. God sees you. But this is what I need you to understand. David listened. He listened. So I'm saying to you right now that when we need one another, I need you. There's going to be a part of a part that's going to come in your life that a man is going to approach you, and he don't need you to fix it. He just needs you to listen. And I say this with David. I say this with David. God said David was a man after his own heart. When David, every time that David was wrong, he accepted it and he listened. Nathan came to David. David didn't shun him, but what David was angry about was the sin that occurred. So naturally, when he said when God said David is a man after my own heart, David didn't like what he did. So when Nathan came to David, the first thing David said, "Where you at?" So and so, and Nathan said, "That man is you." And the heart of David was the heart of God because he attests the sin that he did, but he didn't realize. And today, I need everybody to understand. Look, we need one another. Black men, we need one another. We need one another. We need to be able to listen. We need to be able to love one another. I want to say normalize, but if I say normalize, we're not going to understand it. But we got to start. How about let's start? Let's begin. Let me use the word begin. Let's begin to be able to be there for one another. Let's begin to be able to listen to one another. Let's begin to be able to speak to one another. Even if we can't normalize it, we got to begin somewhere. And there's another thing that when we talk about help doesn't mean that you're weak. Even the Bible says that in your weakness, he's made strong. And that's the help. Where help come from? Come from the Lord. So I need you to understand that we need one another. And even if we don't know how true and genuine help looks, it's better to try it than to suffer. Let's not suffer in silence. Too many of us die out loud silently. Somebody's asking to join. I don't know. So just wanted to come on here and talk about that. God bless each and every one of you. Thank you for tuning in. I pray that this has been a blessing to at least one person, you know. So, and remember, always be a bridge and never a burden. Always be a bridge and never a burden. Be a bridge to your significant other. Be a bridge to your spouse. Be a bridge, whoever needs you to be that bridge, because this is what Christ has called us to be. Bridges and never burdens. Bridges and never burdens. And remember, only God loves you more than we do. Only God loves you more than we do. Take care, be blessed. Peace. It's IG. There you go. Tremaine Cannon, what's going on? Tremaine, how are you? Thank you. That's my moderator. Affirmative Apparel. I don't think I see anybody on Facebook.